And just like that, we all woke up to a very different world. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this new world that we're in, a world where life and death has become even more real than ever before, a world where even just the very essence of breathing, right, has become something that we're all very conscious of, where COVID-free air has become a dream and living in an open space has become a luxury. When I retired from my positions as QNet Executive Chairperson and QI Director about 5-6 years ago, back in 2014, that was a major decision of mine to really shift and pivot from what I was doing while still maintaining the very essence of why I was doing it, which was rhythm. And that decision really took us to where my husband and I have called home today, up here in a very rural and remote location, working with the poorest of the poor in our nation, farmers, and believing that as we raise ourselves up to be farmers, that we could help farmers to also raise themselves up. But not all of the decisions that we make have, are as major as this decision of retiring or changing my tires. It's been said that we all make about 35,000 decisions on a daily basis. In fact, a study by Cornell University says that about 227 of those daily decisions we make have to do with food. So only when it comes to food, right? We already have to make 227 decisions daily. So many decisions. So whether it's 35,000 or less or more, the reality is that we are constantly making decisions on a daily basis. Now, most of those decisions are not major decisions. In fact, majority of those decisions will not be major, but really more of the mundane. How will I wake up today? Will I wake up grumpy or will I wake up happy? What am I going to wear? What am I going to eat? Right? Very mundane, but still requiring decisions of us. In the pandemic, even these mundane decisions have become all of a sudden major, because what to eat, eating your vegetables, something that we teach our kids, tell our kids, remind our kids, and all of a sudden it's something that we have to be mindful of because we want to boost our immune system. What to wear, the face mask, right? Not going out without it, and so forth. Even something as simple as washing your hands, deciding to wash your hands, could very well be a life-changing, a life-altering decision. So today, I'm going to talk about decisions, and hopefully at the end of our session, we will arrive at more confidence in the decisions that we've made, or more confident that we can make better decisions, or undo maybe faulty decisions that we have made. Okay, let's face it, the pandemic has really shown us a different way of doing things. And if at all, the pandemic has shown us that we could do things that we could never thought possible, or that we never thought possible. Okay, I mean, I have baked when I don't really bake. Okay, I've cut my husband's hair, much to his, hesitation, trepidation. Okay. And my nervousness, okay? I've planted, all of these quarantine projects that people have made, I've done that. And I'm sure you've had your own quarantine projects. But these projects all started with a decision that you made. A decision that, when I, looked at my husband and he was really struggling with his growing hair, and I said, okay, I'm just going to cut your hair. Or when I was looking at all of these produce that I had, because, when you live in a farm, your menu is determined by what you harvest in the farm. And when you have ladyfingers or okra for, weeks on end, you decide to figure out, how can I cook this in a different way today, right? So, but these small decisions that we make really are the ones that actually have the biggest impact. Why? Because each small decision actually has what they call a compound effect. If you were to choose to eat fried chicken with rice for lunch today, that's not really going to make any difference. You go on the weighing scale tomorrow, I don't think you would have gained weight. I mean, if you take a blood test, tomorrow, I don't think it's going to reflect in terms of your cholesterol levels or whatever. No effect whatsoever. And so the tendency is, when we look at these small decisions, we say, oh, you know what? It's very small. It's non-bearing, no impact, and so it's okay to do it. However, okay, when we realize that these small decisions that we make do have a compound effect, like interest in the bank, they compound. Imagine if you decided to eat fried chicken with rice on a daily basis for the next 1 year. Would that have an effect in terms of your weight, in terms of your cholesterol levels, maybe even in terms of your joint, and whatever? Most definitely. Okay. The other thing that small decisions have are what they call the ripple effect. So apart from a compound effect, these small decisions that we take for granted and we easily make also have a ripple effect. It's like a domino where you just push one and it will now trigger a string of actions and reactions that you might not be able to have control over anymore. So this V Convention Connect, we, your uplines, would like you to learn how to make better decisions, especially in the small things. How do we do that? I'd like to share 3 things with you today. Firstly, we make better decisions by deciding to focus and not to drift. Yes, in this time, there's so much happening around us. It's like everything is topsy-turvy. The currents are strong. The winds are very strong in terms of change, in terms of trends, in terms of predictions, in terms of even information, just the amount of information we get, right? There's just so much pressure, left, right, and center. We all the more must wake up every morning and decide to say, I'm just going to focus. I'm going to make sure that my anchor is set so that I don't drift and be swayed and blown by the winds or be, carried by the currents of change, especially the currents of change that might not necessarily be good for you. So how do you do that? Make your main thing the main thing. Your why. Why did you do the business? Why did you decide to purchase those products? Why did you decide to invite your family and friends? Why did you decide to come to V Convention Connect? What was your why? What are those dreams that are still waiting to be fulfilled? That's your main thing. Make sure that remains your main thing. The methodology can change, and yes, it must change. Maybe your strategy will change, and it should because things are changing. However, your why, that's your main thing. Don't get distracted and don't allow yourself to drift. Decide to focus on your main thing, and always make your main thing the main thing. Number 2, I want you to decide to care and not to fear. You know, when there's so many new things happening and there's so many unknowns, especially with, in terms of health, because of, the conflicting information that we might get about vaccines and about, the COVID-19, about how to boost our immune system, what to take, what supplements, and so forth and so on, right? Even when it comes to sunlight, they say sunlight is good for you, but then some people say, 15 minutes of sunlight in midday is really what you need to produce vitamin D3. I mean, so much information, right? But when everything is new, then there's really a lot of uncertainty that comes out because these are unknowns and they're mostly unvalidated or unverified. So we can do one of two things. One, we can either just not care enough and just instead of taking the time to really look for the right information, we look at what other people are doing and say, okay, my neighbor's doing this, or my mom says to do this, or, my husband is doing this, so I guess it's okay, so I'll do it as well. Right? But not caring enough for your dreams, not caring enough for your health, not caring enough for your business, not caring enough for your team at this particular time, and just following the crowd, going with the flow, okay, might be the biggest wrong decision you would ever make at this time. Or not caring enough that you just go to the system or you just go through the motions, right? Might also be your biggest opportunity missed, because people now more than ever are really also in that same place of being unsettled and maybe displaced. And they're really looking for some certainty. They're really looking for an anchor. They're really looking for a lifeline to hold on to. And our business is a great lifeline. However, if you don't care enough and you're just going with the flow, then you might miss out on the opportunity of your next door neighbor actually wanting to hear about the potential to earn some extra cash during this time. Or we could care too much. We could care too much that we become fearful. Like we care too much about the pandemic or being exposed to the virus, that we really just don't do anything anymore. We're paralyzed with fear. That's also not the right way to live. So deciding, to care is really basically saying, I'm going to overcome my fear. I'm going to step out of my discomfort. I'm going to push myself to be even better because I care enough that I'm now going to have the courage to do that which I'm afraid of, or that which I'm uncomfortable to do, that which I've failed in several times already in the past. Because caring, the outcrop of caring, is simply saying, okay, I may not be good at this today, but I will keep trying and I will push myself to get better. I may not be great. I may never be great at this, but I will keep trying so that I can get better in my main thing. Not in everything, but in my main thing. So decide to focus on your main thing and not drift. Decide to care and not fear. And number 3, decide to thrive and not survive. Decide to be part of the solution and not just be part of the statistics. We have a beautiful solution that the world now more than ever needs to hear. They may not say yes to it. They may not embrace it. But it's still our choice to offer the solution to as many people as we can. Because where else can you do a business where you are able to earn and determine how much time you're going to put into it, and determine how much you want to make out of it, determine where you're going to do it, how you're going to do this. I mean, it's just really amazing how I've been speaking to a lot of our, leaders and partners, and I'm just so proud of how everyone just pivoted so quickly and embraced technology from building the business offline to just like that, being so great and successful in building the business online. So let's have this mindset of thriving during the time of COVID, when everyone else is masked, figuratively, and everyone else is just really afraid. Let's unmask ourselves and really share this great thing that we have by removing the fear, by removing the the hesitation, by removing the failures of the past, and that that guilt of of maybe failing, and just really making things happen. What are the things that you really need to make happen anyway? Things that are in your control. Sure, you're at home, and maybe technology is not so great. Maybe you're having bandwidth issues, like I have bandwidth issues here. But what is the DNA of the V? Dr. Sri always teaches us: adapt, adjust, accommodate, right? And today, now more than ever, the world is really looking for adaptive leadership. That's what we do. That's who we are. That's part of our DNA, being able to adapt to the current times. And not just being able to adapt to the current times, but really pushing things so that we even take things beyond the new norm into a better normal. So thriving in this time is part of our DNA, not just surviving. Okay, I know Jack Ma said, if you just survived and remained alive in 2020, that's a big thing. And yes, that's true. However, because we are alive today, because we woke up today, then it's now on us to not just go with the flow and just go with the system or just and be on survival mode, but really ask ourselves, how am I going to thrive today? How am I going to be better today? In what ways? When it comes to your main thing, your name list, how can you build your name list today? How can you invite the next person on your name list today? Decide to show another plan today. These are small decisions that maybe you can say, oh, if I don't build my name list, if I don't invite the next person on my list, if I don't show another plan today, it's not really going to make a lot of difference. And that might be true. However, that might also be like the fried chicken and rice decision that you made yesterday, last week, last year, okay, that has led to the health challenges that you might be facing today, right? So the small decision, the mundane decision with the big impact would be the decisions that have something to do with your name list, decisions that have something to do with inviting people on your name list, decisions that have something to do with showing the plan and following up and teaching your people by your example on how to do that as well. A lot of times, fighting for your dreams is also a decision that we make. And it's a decision that we actually make on a daily basis. How do we fight for our dreams? A lot of times, we start by fighting the biggest dream stealer that we have. And no, that's not your wife or your husband. That's not your mother-in-law, okay? But it really is you. We are our biggest dream stealers. We are the ones who decide. No one can make decisions for us. At the end of the day, even death, although you might say that you have no choice, about when you're going to die, but we all have a choice on how we're going to die, right? So everything has a choice. So what is the choice that we're going to make today as entrepreneurs? our very thing is creating something out of nothing. So when we look at what we have and we say, I have nothing, well, guess what? That means there's an opportunity for you to create something out of that nothing. Or if you look at what you have and you say, I only have this amount of time because now I'm working from home, but I also have the kids and I'm tutoring and I'm also now homeschooling, or I'm also, preparing meals, or I'm also doing other stuff because people can't come to my home. Well, guess what? You still have time. I'm sure you have time for Netflix. I'm sure you have time for Facebook. You wouldn't be so stressed about the pandemic if you didn't have time to read the news and just go through your social media and keep scrolling and work yourself up into a frenzy of fear, right? So instead of using your time to go on social media or to shop online, okay, for things that you might not necessarily need, why don't you use that time and really build it up and add it up to your QNet business hours? That's a choice. That's a decision. Who decides to do that? It's not your upline. It's not your family, but it's you. If you decide, all it takes is a decision on terms of how you're going to use your time, a decision in terms of where you're going to focus your attention, okay? A decision in terms of how you can guard your store hours, your business hours, so that you can thrive by being better in building your name list, in inviting the next person, in showing another plan, and ultimately so that you can reaffirm the decision you make to use the products that you have of QNet and to remain in QNet because you've made the choice to make this your main thing. So make it your main thing and decide to do that on a daily basis. Remember, the decision that you make today and the decision that you make each and every day, and it can be that same decision. In fact, it most likely, and it should be the same decision, but the same decision that you make on a daily basis, because that decision will be attacked, will be challenged, will be questioned by the dream stealer in you and by the dream stealers around you, by the circumstances around you, by the situation that you're in. These situations and challenges are all very real, and they can challenge and they will challenge your decision to stay focused, to stay true to your main thing. And that's why you need to make that one time, that decision, major decision you made to do QNet, and you need to make that every day. And not think that just because you were so excited a year ago, a month ago, a week ago, a day ago, that you will remain excited and motivated and fired up today. So decide, because the decision that you make today, forget the decision you made yesterday, but the decision you make today is what's going to determine your results tomorrow. How did I get here in this rural and remote location, learning to be a farmer? I didn't ever think I would be a farmer. I didn't even have any interest in planting anything in my entire life. Yes, I loved my fruits and vegetables, but I loved eating them, not planting them. However, it was one decision that I made years ago, which was the decision to raise myself up so I can help mankind. That decision I made over 20 years ago, that has really defined all of the small decisions that I have made ever since. Because one last way to make sure you're making a better decision today is you go back to your why, like I said, and not drift, so that you don't drift. So for me, it was because of that decision that now created a ripple effect of small decisions. And finally, I woke up one day and say, how did I ever become a farmer? But I asked that question with great joy because I could not imagine doing anything else than what I am doing today. What decisions do you have to make today? Is it a decision to, uh, you know, restart your business? Maybe it's a decision to re-look at your track record. If 10 out of the 10 presentations you showed resulted in a rejection, you can decide to now say, where did I go wrong? Or take it a step further and maybe ask your upline to be with you in your next call so that she or he could give you feedback because you want to get better. Maybe, you've been stalling and really, delaying on your decision to really apply yourself more to our business. So you can make a different decision today, still aligned with your why of wanting to change your life, your why of wanting to provide a better future for your family, your why of being able to pay off your debts, your why of being able to secure, and give your, elderly parents a quality of life. Whatever that why is, it remains the same. Go back to your main thing and decide to focus on your main thing so that you don't drift. Go back to your main thing and decide to care even more for your main thing, more than anything else, more than your reputation, more than the rejections and the hurt feelings that you have because of the rejections, more than, maybe the failings that you've had where you are not in the place where you thought you should be, or you're not yet earning the check that you decided that you would make. It's okay, but just care even more so that you can apply yourself even more with greater heart, with greater, with greater sincerity when it comes to building your list, inviting the next person on your list, showing the plan to the next person on your list. And remember, the decision that you make today and that same decision that you make and reaffirm and reconfirm on a daily basis will determine your results tomorrow. I know that Be Convention Connect has really been great in connecting us in a different way, but also in, I think, a more personal way, because you've allowed me into your home and you get a peek into my home. And you don't invite strangers into your home easily. But because we are family and through V Convention Connect, we have connected, let's decide to stay connected and remain connected. Because guess what? The bigger the storm, the more we need to hold hands and remain hand in hand so that we don't drift, but let's make sure that the person beside us on our left and on our right, our team, that we also stay strong, stand strong by holding on strong, remaining connected. Because that's another decision. And that's also an important decision. Thank you so much, everyone. And let's make this whole new world a better world for us, for our family, for our friends, for our teams. God bless you all. I love you.